Paramahansa Yogananda, who was a great yogi and spread the light of spiritual consciousness all over the world through his book Autobiography of a Yogi, has defined the soul as a divine being. He says that the soul is not an ordinary energy, but a part of the Supreme Being, which is eternal, immortal, and unchangeable. It neither takes birth nor dies, but only changes its body, just as we take off old clothes and wear new ones. The proof of the existence of the soul can be found not only in religious texts, but also through deep meditation and inner experience. Yogananda says that man is more than his body and mind. Our true identity is contained in the soul, but we have forgotten it due to Maya. We consider ourselves only a physical body and remain entangled in the mortal things of the world, whereas the soul is always free and limitless, like the infinite sky. According to Yogananda, identifying the soul should be the highest goal of life, because it leads us to true happiness, peace, and salvation. He also mentioned the verses of the Gita, which say, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nayanam dahati pavak, nachain kle dayatyapo nashosha ma'aruta, meaning that no weapon can cut the soul, nor can fire burn it, nor can water wet it, nor can air dry it. The soul is immortal and eternal. Yogananda described meditation and Kriya Yoga as the best means to experience the soul. He says that when a seeker goes deep into meditation, he experiences the pure consciousness of his soul. This experience is beyond words, but the one who achieves it is filled with true joy, peace, and love. He also tells us that as soon as the soul is realized, all the illusions of man end, fear ends, and he comes to know that he is not just a body, but a part of God. Yogananda emphasized in his teachings that there is no need to search externally to recognize the soul. It is within us, but meditation, devotion, and self-discipline are required to experience it. He says that just as the sky is not clearly visible in a restless lake, similarly, when our mind is disturbed, the reflection of the soul is not clearly visible in it. But as soon as we calm our mind, the divine light of the soul starts appearing. Life was proof of the truth that the knowledge of the soul can be obtained not only by reading or hearing, but also by direct experience. They say that the one who has known the soul has conquered the whole world because he is never sad again, is not afraid, and is not afraid of death. He knows that the soul is eternal, and it is neither born nor destroyed. That is why, if we want to experience our true nature, we must search for the soul. We have to go within ourselves and awaken the soul through meditation, love, and service. Yogananda's teaching is to know the soul, because only by knowing the soul can you know yourself, and only by knowing yourself can you know God. This is the ultimate goal of life. Today, we will discuss a very profound and mysterious subject. What is the soul? This question is not limited to a religious or philosophical discussion. It is connected to the root of our existence. The purpose of life remains incomplete until we understand the soul. Who am I? Am I only this body? Or is there something else in me that is beyond this body? These questions definitely arise in the mind of every conscious person at some time or the other. Paramahansa Yogananda ji has described the soul as an eternal, immortal, and divine consciousness. He says that the soul is not a physical object that we can see or touch. It is our true identity, but we have forgotten it because we are so entangled in the body, mind, and worldly things. He compared the soul to the sun. Just as the sun never extinguishes, it just hides behind the clouds. Similarly, the soul also never perishes. It just hides behind the veil of ignorance. difference between soul and body. We consider our body as our existence, but the body keeps changing with time. When we are children, our body is different, and when we are young, it changes. In old age, it undergoes some more changes. But does our existence also change? Paramahansa Yogananda says that our true form is the soul, and this body is just like a cloth. Just as we discard old clothes and wear new ones, similarly, the soul leaves one body and wears another. In the Gita, Sri Krishna says that Vasansi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navanit Naro Paran. Just as a man discards old clothes and wears new ones, similarly, the soul also changes. The soul leaves the old body and takes a new body. But what is the soul? Is it just an idea, or does it really exist? We have to find the answer to this question within ourselves. The soul cannot be experienced only by logic, but it is a personal experience that is obtained through meditation, yoga, and spiritual practice. Now tell me, what is your opinion on this subject? Have you ever experienced the soul, or have you ever thought about what happens after death? Paramahansa Yogananda ji tells us that we do not get the knowledge of the soul naturally because we are under the influence of Maya. Maya means illusion, a power that makes us believe that we are only body and mind, whereas our real identity is the soul. For example, when a person dreams, he feels that he is actually living in the dream world. But when he wakes up, he realizes that it was only a dream. Similarly, when we are under the influence of Maya, this world seems real to us. But when we wake up through meditation and spiritual knowledge, then we understand that we are not just this body, but pure soul. Yogananda ji says that Maya is made up of two powers. There is avidya Maya, which makes us believe that we are only body and keeps us entangled in the desires of the world, and vidya Maya, which takes us towards truth and gives us the knowledge of the soul. How to know that we are in Maya? If we feel that happiness is only in external things, wealth, fame, relations, and material things, then it means that we are under the influence of Maya, because all these things are temporary, and the happiness derived from them is also momentary. But if we search for inner peace and permanent happiness, then we are moving in the direction of the soul. Paramahansa Yogananda has given an interesting example in his book, Autobiography of a Yogi. He told that we are like a deer seeing a mirage in the desert. A deer runs towards the shining sand, thinking it to be water from a distance. But when it reaches there, it finds nothing. Similarly, we search for true happiness in the things of the world, but in the end, we realize that the real happiness was within us. How to remove the veil of Maya. Yogananda ji tells us that to come out of Maya, we have to remove our ego. The ego has to be given up. The ego makes us believe that we are different individuals, whereas the truth is that we are all part of the same spiritual consciousness. He has said that being a part of God, we all are entitled to infinite power and bliss. But when we consider ourselves to be only a limited body and mind, then we become sad. Meditation and experience of the soul. If we meditate daily, then gradually our mind will start becoming calm, and we will start getting glimpses of the soul. Meditation connects us to the power within us and makes us feel that we are not only a body, but an infinite consciousness. Now tell me, have you ever felt that the things of the world are temporary and that real happiness lies elsewhere? Have you ever tried to meditate? Now we will try to know what is the real nature of the soul. The soul is not just an idea or philosophy, it is our true identity. When we go beyond our physical existence and experience it, then we attain ultimate bliss. Paramahansa Yogananda. G has said that the soul cannot be understood only by reading in the scriptures. It can only be experienced when a person goes deep into meditation and goes beyond his senses. Only when one feels his inner being does he experience the reality of the soul. This experience is not something that can be fully expressed in words, because it is different from all physical experiences. The soul is not a physical object that we can see with our eyes or touch with our hands. It is a pure form of energy and consciousness that neither takes birth nor dies. The soul is immortal. It does not perish. It only keeps changing the body. When we see a person dying, in reality, only the body perishes, but the soul remains the same, just like a person discards an old garment and wears a new one. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna says that the soul cannot be burnt, cut, wet, or dried. This element is not subject to any worldly power. It is omnipresent, pure, and infinite. Paramahansa Yogananda. G explains that the soul has three main characteristics: Sat, eternal; Chit, consciousness; and Anand, bliss. Sat means that the soul never perishes. It always exists. Chit means that the soul is not just an inanimate entity, but has limited powers. Consciousness and knowledge are included. Anand means that the nature of the soul is bliss. When a person starts living at the level of the soul, he is not affected by the circumstances of the world, because he knows that the real happiness is not in external things, but in the inner consciousness. This happiness is millions of times more powerful and permanent than any material pleasure. But the question arises, why are we not able to experience the soul? The answer is that our minds are always entangled in external things. Our senses pull us towards the world, and we remain entangled in these temporary pleasures. But when a person learns to control his mind through meditation, then gradually he starts getting a glimpse of the soul. It is exactly like when the water of a lake becomes still. We can clearly see our reflection in it. Similarly, when our mind is calm, we can recognize our real form. Yogananda says that to know the soul, we first have to look inside ourselves. When we consider ourselves only a body, we are afraid of death, are sad, and live in fear all the time. But when we realize that there is a soul, then even death seems nothing but a change. It is just like a person changes clothes to sleep at night, but he knows that the real self is the same. Clothes are only outer garments. To get this experience, the practice of meditation and yoga is necessary. Paramahansa Yogananda Ji has specifically mentioned Kriya Yoga, which helps us in realizing the soul. Meditation frees us from the false bonds of the world and helps us reach our real identity. When the state of meditation is deep, the seeker feels as if he is drowned in a vast ocean of peace. This experience is so blissful and powerful that the seeker is no longer interested in any other worldly thing. We understood the eternal nature of the soul and came to know that it remains with the body even after being separated from it. But now, another important question arises. If the soul is immortal and a form of pure consciousness, then why is it attached to the body? It is necessary to understand the relationship between the body and the soul, because until we do not understand this profound truth, we will continue to consider ourselves limited to the body only, and will not be able to experience our real form. Paramahansa Yogananda. G says that the union of the soul with the body is a temporary state. Just as a person wears a costume to play a role, the soul is free and infinite in itself. But when it comes under the influence of Maya, It has to enter the cycle of birth and death. The body is a medium for the soul to gain experience in this material world. But just as a person does not become a car when he drives a car, similarly, the soul takes on this body but does not become the body. The problem arises when a person thinks of himself as only the body and forgets his spiritual identity. The body has its limitations. It is born, grows, changes, and finally perishes. It is affected by hunger, thirst, disease, and old age. But the soul is beyond any kind of change. It neither takes birth nor dies. It keeps seeing every change in the body, but remains immovable and unchangeable. Yogananda explains this with a beautiful simile. Just as the scenes on a movie screen keep changing, but the screen itself remains stationary. Similarly, the soul sees the changes in the body, but remains unchangeable. Many people think that the soul cannot exist without the body, but this is not true. The body is only a means, a medium, but the existence of the soul is beyond the body. Death is only the renunciation of the body, not of the soul. It is just like a person leaves old clothes and wears new clothes. The person who is different from his clothes, the same soul is different from this body as well. But due to Maya, this realization is not possible, and we consider the body as our final identity. This is the cause of ignorance, and due to this, we have to live in the cycle of birth and death. Yogananda made it clear that to experience the truth of the soul, we have to do meditation and self-observation. When we start experiencing ourselves as separate from the body, then the fear of death does not haunt us. Then we understand that our real existence is immortal. To get this experience, we have to stabilize our mind, because only when the mind is calm can we glimpse the soul. Through meditation, we can awaken that consciousness within us, which is beyond the body. This consciousness tells us that we are not just a structure of bones, flesh, and blood, but a divine being filled with infinite bliss and knowledge. When a person understands that he is not the body, but the soul, his entire outlook changes. He starts seeing life as a game. Happiness and sorrow cannot affect him because he knows that these are only scenes of the play. The reality is the soul, which is always peaceful and blissful. Yogananda ji himself had experienced this truth and said that when he used to go deep into meditation, the existence of the body would end, and only infinite peace and bliss would remain. This experience is millions of times more blissful than any worldly pleasure, but this experience is possible only when we leave the attachment of the body and turn towards the soul. When we remain entangled only in the happiness and sorrow of the body, then we are not able to recognize our real form. That is why, by adopting the path of meditation, devotion, and knowledge, we have to look within ourselves and experience that we are not only this body, but pure consciousness. When this experience becomes deep, then even death does not frighten us, life does not seem confusing, and no situation in the world can make us sad. Till now, we have understood that the soul is separate from the body and is eternal, but just knowing this is not enough. Until we experience it, it will remain only a theory. Paramahansa Yogananda ji has said that the knowledge of the soul cannot be obtained only from books or discourses. It can only be known through direct experience. For this experience, we have to turn our consciousness away from the outside world and turn it inwards. As long as our consciousness is entangled in the outside world, we cannot feel the existence of our soul. Just like a person is standing in front of a mirror, but if there is dust on it, he cannot see his reflection clearly. To experience the soul, We have to clean this mirror, and this will be possible only when we purify our mind and thoughts. The mind is the medium through which we experience the world, and it can also take us away from the soul. When the mind is disturbed, it covers the real form of the soul. It is exactly like if a lake is calm, the reflection of the sky and the moon is clearly visible in it. But if waves start rising in the lake, the reflection gets distorted. Yogananda said that meditation is the only way by which we can calm this lake. Meditation does not mean only sitting with closed eyes, but to feel the silence within you where no thought is visible. There is no movement, only pure consciousness. When we go deep into meditation, we feel that we are not the body, but that there is an infinite peace. This experience develops gradually. At first, we feel it only momentarily, but as the practice increases, this experience becomes permanent. Yogananda told that when he was in deep meditation, the existence of the body ended, and only infinite bliss and light remained. This is the same state which the visionaries have called samadhi, where the soul recognizes its true form. But the mind has to be prepared to sit in meditation. If the mind is very restless, then meditation cannot happen. For this, we have to control the mind first. We have to conquer our desires and lust. As long as the mind is entangled in worldly things, it will be impossible to experience the soul. Therefore, before meditation, it is necessary to take the help of devotional service, satsang, and good thoughts to purify the mind. When the mind gradually calms down, it becomes easy to get into meditation, and then the experience of the soul starts happening automatically. Yogananda gave a special lesson in Kriya Yoga. He taught a method which helps in going deep into meditation. He said that there is a deep connection between breath and mind. When our breath is fast and unsteady, the mind also becomes unstable. But when the breath is controlled, the mind also naturally becomes calm. When the mind becomes calm, only then can we see the light within us, which is the real form of the soul. This is the reason why the first step in meditation is to control the breath, because this takes us towards a deep spiritual experience. When the soul is experienced through meditation, then life changes completely. Then nothing in the world seems as important as this inner peace. Then there is neither fear of anything nor any sorrow that can disturb us. Yogananda said that the person who experiences the soul becomes free from the world even while living in it. He experiences joy in every moment of life because he knows that his true identity is beyond the body or mind. He sees this world as a game and remains calm and happy in every situation. That is why the experience of the soul is not just a theory, but the most important truth of life. To achieve it, we have to follow meditation, self-introspection, and self-control. When we make efforts in this direction, we gradually start realizing our true nature. This is the state where a person attains supreme bliss and feels himself to be one with the universe. Now tell me, have you ever had such an experience in meditation that made you feel the existence of the soul? Paramahansa Yogananda has described death as a change and not the end. He explained that just as a person discards old clothes and wears new clothes, similarly, the soul leaves one body and enters another body. Death is only of the body. The soul never dies. This truth is not just a religious belief, but a deep spiritual truth that can be known through experience. When a person experiences the soul, then the fear of death ends because he comes to know that his real existence is beyond the body. He starts seeing himself as an infinite consciousness, which is neither born nor dies. It only passes through different stages. Yogananda has mentioned many such experiences in his book, Yogi Kathamrita, in which he directly saw the existence of the soul after death. He said that when a person dies, he separates from the body and enters the subtle world. If that person is unaware of this truth, it takes time for him to understand that he is no longer in his gross body. But a person who lives life with spiritual awareness has a clear knowledge of this change. He sees death as the beginning of a new journey and not as a frightening end. He said that when a soul leaves the body, it enters the next world according to its karma. People who do good karma go to the higher worlds where there is more happiness and peace, while people who do negative karma go to the lower worlds where they suffer the effects of their karma. The journey of the soul is not limited to death only. It is a continuous process. Birth and death are only a part of the process of evolution of the soul. Yogananda explained that the ultimate goal of the soul is to merge with the Supreme Soul. As long as a person is bound in the bonds of his karma and desires, he has to come into the cycle of birth and death again and again. But when a person recognizes himself as a soul and starts doing his deeds without any desire, then he gets free from this cycle. This is called moksha, which is the ultimate liberation of the soul. He said that through meditation and self-awareness, a person can understand this truth and experience that eternal peace within himself, which is beyond death. The fear of death is only because we consider ourselves to be a body. When a person goes deep into meditation, then he sees that he is not only this body, but a pure consciousness. When this experience becomes strong, the fear of death ends. Yogananda told that when he used to go into meditation, he went beyond all the sensations of his body. He used to say that in that state the body does not seem to exist. Only infinite peace and bliss remain. This is the experience beyond death, a state where there is only light and peace. He also said that when the soul leaves the body, its consciousness remains the same as it was during life. This means that if a person does not develop awareness and spirituality in his life, then even after death, his consciousness remains limited. But if a person meditates and develops spirituality, then even after death, his consciousness remains elevated. If a person elevates his consciousness through meditation, then after death, he enters the spiritual light and goes to the higher realms. What is the experience of the soul at the time of death? Yogananda Ji has explained it very beautifully. He said that when the soul leaves the body, it sees a divine light which attracts it. If the soul moves towards this light, then it experiences higher states. But if it remains stuck in its worldly attachments, then it has to face a state of confusion. This is the reason why the consciousness at the time of death is very important. If a person remembers God in his life, then even at the time of death, his consciousness goes in the upward direction, and that soul moves towards the higher realms. This is the reason why the importance of remembering the name of God at the time of death has been explained in various spiritual traditions. Yogananda taught many of his disciples how to accept death and how to overcome it. He said that if a person is calm and dedicated at the moment of death, then his soul leaves the body with joy. But if the person remains in fear and stress, then the process of death can be painful. This is why it is very important to keep a calm mind at the time of death. He also said that the person who meditates and does sadhana easily leaves his body at the time of death, whereas the person who is too involved in material things finds it difficult for his soul to leave the body. Therefore, it is necessary to understand during life itself that we are not only a body, but also a soul, and we should keep trying to recognize our true nature. The subject of death seems as serious and mysterious as it can be, but it can be as simple and clear if it is understood from the right perspective. Yogananda said that death should be seen only as a small door that leads us to a new world. If we cross this door not with fear, but with awareness and love, then it can become a beautiful experience for us. That is why, instead of seeing death as a frightening truth, it should be seen as a journey of the soul. Paramahansa Yogananda has described reincarnation as a natural process of the development of the soul. He said that the soul never dies, but only the body changes, just like a person discards old clothes and wears new clothes. This change is necessary because the soul has to go through various experiences to complete its journey. Every birth is a new opportunity in which the soul gets new bodies and circumstances according to its deeds. According to Yogananda, until the soul is completely liberated, it has to live in the cycle of birth and death. This cycle is based on the principle of karmas, which means that the deeds we do in this life determine the circumstances of our next birth. If a person does good deeds, then his next birth is in pleasant circumstances. And if someone does bad deeds, then he has to face difficulties. Yogananda explained that every birth is a new lesson for the soul. We remain in a class until we fully understand the lessons of that class. Similarly, until the soul finishes all its unfinished deeds and desires, it has to take birth again. This birth is not only a means of punishment or reward, but also an opportunity for the education and development of the soul. He said that the circumstances we face in life, whether pleasant or sad, are the result of the deeds of our previous births. If a person is suffering a lot in his life, it may mean that he has done some deeds in his previous life, the fruits of which he is receiving now. Similarly, if a person is living a very happy life, it may be the result of his previous good deeds. But the important point is that the deeds done in the present life also determine our future. Reincarnation is not limited to human birth only. Yogananda told that the soul can pass through various yonis, which can include the states from animals and birds to deities. The journey of the soul depends on its level of consciousness. If a person is immersed in excessive greed, anger, and lust, then his consciousness falls, and he can take birth in lower yonis. But if a person moves forward on the path of love, compassion, and spirituality, then his consciousness rises, and he moves towards divinity. He explained that the person who spends his life in developing spiritually gradually becomes free from the cycle of rebirth. In the process of rebirth, not only karma, but also desires play an important role. Yogananda Ji said that whatever unfulfilled desires we have will force us to take birth again. If a person has a deep desire that remains unfulfilled, then he takes birth again in the next life to fulfill that desire. This process continues until the person is free from all desires. This is the reason why saints and sages try to end their desires so that they can be free from this cycle of birth and death. Yogananda said that when a person renounces all his worldly desires through meditation and sadhana and only desires to attain God, then he can be free from the cycle of rebirth. He also told that some special souls take birth again despite being free from their karmas and desires, but they come not for their personal selfishness, but to serve humanity. Such great individuals are called avatars, who come to the world only to show the spiritual path to the people. They take birth by their own wish and depart from this world after completing their mission. Sri Krishna, Sri Ram, Buddha, and Yogananda himself were also such high souls who took birth in the world to make people aware. Yogananda presented the theory of reincarnation not just as a religious belief, but as a scientific truth. He gave many examples where people had clear memories of their past lives. Many people recognize the family, place, and events of their past lives, which proves that the existence of the soul is not limited to one body. He also said that if a person goes into a deep meditative state, he can see his past life experiences. When meditation becomes very deep, the person starts understanding how many experiences he has gained in how many lives and how all of them are connected to the present life. He also told that the main purpose of reincarnation is to educate the soul and take it towards perfection. Every birth gives the soul an opportunity to correct its old karmas, to acquire new knowledge, and to recognize the true nature of the soul. This is the reason why every situation that comes into our life is important. If we see it as a punishment, we will be sad. But if we see it as an opportunity, we will be able to understand our life from a new perspective. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button to support our channel.